Hey, everybody. Dennis Tooley here with the MS Warriors Way podcast. And it's Wear Orange Wednesday. So I thought I'd pop in and try to provide a bit of encouragement for you today. Basically, uh, we are in these strange, somewhat difficult time with the COVID-19 and how it has pretty much altered our entire existence in terms of how we operate. And one of my fears for many of you is that during this time where we have been told to socially distance and to stay safe and slow the spread of the COVID 19, um, my fear is that many may fall prey to isolation. Now, here's the thing. In the midst of all of this, we hear, let's slow the spread of this virus, and so let's distance ourselves. And that doesn't have to mean you isolate yourself. It means you need to protect yourself, you need to protect others around you, but it doesn't mean you need to go into isolation. And one of the things that many of the folks that have multiple sclerosis, many people that have any chronic illness, they struggle with depression because they get isolated, and that's never good for us. Isolation is never good. As human beings, we're not meant to isolate. So I wanted to share with you four ways that I think we can deal with isolation, particularly during this time of COVID and when we're being told to socially distance. We can still be distanced and be safe, but not be isolated. So here's four ways I think we can deal with this. First way, uh, kill your TV. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying take a gun or a knife and hack it to pieces. No, I'm saying turn it off and don't spend so much time watching TV. And that's for a lot of people. That's the only source of entertainment they have during this time. I got to do something, so I'm going to turn on the old boob tube and I'm going to catch up on my latest. And I'll be honest, I've done some binge watching during this time. I've got Netflix, I've got Prime TV or Prime Video or Prime TV, whatever that is, on Prime, and so I've done my fair share of binge watching. Don't get me wrong, but too many times we get into this process where we're watching the news and we're hearing that everything that's coming at us with that, and it gets overwhelming, it gets discouraging, and in that discouragement and being overwhelmed, we take that message of stay safe, stay distant, and we isolate ourselves. And we're taking all that time focusing in on that square box, whether it's a 42-inch TV, whether it's a 25-inch TV. I don't know what you have. Maybe you got one of them 85-inchers, and I'd be like, wow, can we come during the Super Bowl? If we have a Super Bowl, I don't know if we're going to have one. I don't know, but yeah, it's time for you to be cognizant of how much time you're spending watching the TV and what you're watching on TV, because sometimes what we watch can set false expectations. And we kind of think, well, I'm watching all these great shows, and we subconsciously we put ourselves into those shows, and all of a sudden we're one of the characters on Friends, and we think, oh, I'm fine, I've got my friends. Well, no, that's make believe. That's not your life. So go ahead and turn that off for a little bit and find something else to take up some of your time. Also, when you turn off the TV, you're not as likely to hear all of the depressing bad news that everybody's spreading out there. Because let's be honest, we don't have news stations anymore. We have entertainment stations presenting their entertainment as news. They craft the news story so it's sensationalized and it's supposed to grab people and entertain, and that way they can sell more advertisements. So let's go ahead and let's kill the TV a little bit. It'll help us not feel so isolated if we kill the TV and we work on some of these other tips that I'm going to give you here on the 4 ways to deal with isolation. So the first way, kill your TV. Second way, explore people, not places. Let me explain. It's easy for us to think, well, I'm going to go learn something about places. And I will say, I love getting on YouTube and watching videos of other places. Many of you have heard me say this on other podcasts. I am involved with the MS Cruisers group. Every year we try to do a cruise. Now, they just announced this past week that, earlier this week, I should say, that for the 2020 cruise that was planned in September and first part of October, we're going to be going up through the New England ports and up into Canada, the Canadian ports. And it was going to be a fantastic time with the fall colors and everything. I was looking forward to it. But because of COVID again, it was deemed that it wouldn't be as safe, particularly for those of us with MS that have compromised immune systems. We may need to postpone and be a little bit safe. So they've changed the plan, and we're not doing that in September and October, but they announced that we'll be doing something in May. I had to think for a minute. My brain went on vacation and didn't take me with it. MS, woohoo. Anyway, May 3rd through the 9th is the dates of the 2021 cruise that is now kind of taking place of the 2020 cruise that won't be taking place because of COVID. I tell you that not because I'm advertising, although maybe I am. Maybe I'm saying, hey, why don't you join us? Think about it. If you go to mscruisers.com, you'll find all that information, and you can join the group. It's a fantastic group, and the MS people at MS Cruisers, they do a fantastic job of taking care of us. They really go above and beyond in the planning of activities and things to do on the cruise, as well as all the other stuff that the cruise line provides. And so it's just a fantastic time. Again, I'm not selling the cruise, but I got off track and I followed the rabbit tracks while I was hunting deer. I don't know what that meant. Anyway, I was talking about explore people, not places. As soon as I found out they were changing the itinerary for the cruise, I went on and I started doing a little bit of research about, let's find out about Falmouth, Jamaica is one of the ports. Labadee, Haiti, one of the ports. And so I kind of wanted to do a little bit of research. Let's find out what's there and what kind of excursions. And so, and I love doing that kind of stuff. And you can find so much of that on the internet and so much of that on YouTube, and people sharing videos of when they've been to some of those places. It's fantastic. I love doing that. However, learning about places doesn't really make me feel connected. It doesn't really get me connected. So explore people. By that, I mean, find out what people that are your friends, your family, what are they doing? How are they dealing with everything that's going on right now? So get on the phone, call them. We hear a lot about Zoom. In fact, currently I'm using Zoom to record this podcast and provide the video and all of that. And it's a great platform for people to get in and do chats where they get to see each other video wise. They get to see each other. when they're not necessarily in the same room. But when you're exploring people, it's a great tool. Whether you have FaceTime on your phone, whether you have Skype, uh, Google Hangouts. I don't know. There's some of these things I don't know. I probably should, because I could be a little bit more intelligent when I talk about it. But all I'm saying is, if you spend some time trying to explore people and get to know people in a way that you haven't known them before, maybe. So maybe it's reaching out to somebody that you know very loosely. Maybe it's from your church, maybe it's from another group you belong to, maybe it's one of your activities. Uh, I don't know what it might be for you, but pick a person that you say, man, I've always wanted to get to know about them a little bit more, and give them a call, send them an email or send them a text and say, hey, I know we're supposed to be distant, but can we still stay connected? Would you be open to having a conversation? We could maybe meet up on Zoom. And if you haven't done any research on Zoom, go online, go to Zoom. I think it's zoom.us is the address for the, but if you search Zoom, it'll point you right in the right direction. If you just Google Zoom, they'll take you there. And then learn a little bit about how it operates. It's a free service. Now, they have paid versions if you want to do a bunch of stuff you don't really need to do. But in order to connect with people and explore people, you could do it. And Zoom would be a great place to get to know somebody a little bit more, find out a little bit about them, have some conversations. What do you like to do? You got any hobbies? You got any interests that you like to do? You want to tell me a little bit about? Maybe I might be interested in it. And then share maybe something a little bit about yourself. So, kill your TV. That's number one. Number two, explore people, not places. Now, you can still explore places, but spend more time exploring people. It'll keep you from feeling isolated. The third thing I would say to helping you deal with isolation is expand your inner circle. Part of that just was what I was talking about, is picking somebody that you've said, I really wish I knew more about them, and reaching out and seeing what you can do to find out a little bit more about them. But sometimes we have a very small inner circle. There's only a handful of people that we let to see who we are and what we deal with on a regular basis. We don't want to tell other people about MS. We don't want to talk about it with other people because they don't understand. Well, if you expand your inner circle a little bit and you invite some people who really care about you, or maybe you already have them in a place where you could involve them, but you've held them off at distance for whatever reason, maybe invite them in a little bit closer and hear some of what's going on in their world and share what's going on in your world and get to know them a little bit better. By expanding your inner circle, you become a little bit better connected and not so isolated. Not a bad thing. So, the 4 ways of dealing with isolation. Number 1 was kill your TV. Number 2 was explore people, not places. Number 3 was expand your inner circle. And the 4th thing would be to share your joys and your hardships, but do it in a balance. See, there's times when we feel like we shouldn't share the tough times that we're going through. And so I'm going to use a term that may be an oxymoron in today's environment, but we wear these masks to kind of hide the reality of what we're dealing with. And I think maybe it's time for us to be a little bit more willing to share, not complain, not to, oh, woe is me, life's so hard, I got all this, but just be honest and maybe tell people a little bit about some of the hardships, maybe explain some of the difficulties, let them be part of that, but also share the joys, share the things that really bring enjoyment for you. And when you hear good news, share that. If you find something you enjoyed during the day, tell somebody about it. Share it with people that are in your inner circle, or these new people that you're exploring to get to know those people a little bit better. And so do it in a balance where you're not just giddy, bubbly, hey, life's perfect, because let's be honest, my life's pretty good. I don't have a lot to complain about. I mean, I could if I chose to, uh, but it's not all, grins and giggles all the time. There's times when there's some difficult things to have that you're going on. So be honest and keep it in balance. And when you're real with people and you allow them to be real with you, you have deeper connections and less isolation. So, those are my 4 ways right now to help you maybe deal with the isolation, to keep from feeling so isolated that depression can grab a hold and put a death grip on your emotions and try to get you depressed and down and consumed with all the negative. Because if you're hearing that and watching it and listening to it, it'll do it. Trust me, you got to find a way to combat that. So here's 4 ways. Kill your TV, explore people, not places, expand your inner circle, and then share your joys and your hardships, but share them in balance. And if you can do that, I think we can deal with isolation, and we will do it the Warrior's way.